what I talked about? Where you spend your time is important. Do you remember the 3 things I talked about?
No.
Okay. Quantity. How many do you make? Quality and creativity. So those are 3 things you should probably write down, because those are what I'm going to be looking at. You have 7 class periods to make this, and I'm going to judge them based off of quantity, quality, and creativity. If all you do is make a very basic box, one I've already told you, you need to have some movement. So it needs to go up and in somehow, either on a curve or on an angle, right? I have your pen.
Oh, my pen?
Yeah.
Which one?
The one you about stabbed him with.
Oh, you can have this.
Oh, was it a needle tool?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so it needs to have angles, right? Or some sort of movement. If you just turned in a box, one, you're already missing part of the requirements, and there's nothing on it, so the surface isn't detailed, you're going to lose a lot of points because you're not spending time on quantity, quality, or creativity. Okay? Do you remember those, that presentation we did? Some of you don't. It's okay. I'm going to put it on Google Classroom and have you go and look at it again to kind of spark some ideas. Also, we've been projecting them for about 2 weeks now. So in your notebooks, you should have some ideas for that. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to throw out a slab. So we could turn this into a vase. We can turn this into, that has a bigger opening. We could turn this into a penguin bank, like a piggy bank. We could turn it into a teapot. We could just close it all the way up and just put a small hole in it and just let it be cute and sit on your bookshelf. It could be any of those things. It doesn't have to have a great purpose. For what? Okay, I'm just going to take this and start to throw it out. What you do for texture is up to you. Do you remember all the surface techniques that you know or partly learned? Anyone want to throw out some of those surface?
Added.
So an additive or embellishment technique.
Carved. Or is that what it's?
Carved, so reductive.
We wrote this down.
And then impressed or added. No, we're
Impressed. So impressed is stamped. You've also learned some others. Sgraffito.
Oh, what's the other?
Underglaze painting, which also includes stencils and masks and things like that. What you do with your time is up to you. If you want to underglaze paint something, you make something and then you're going to paint it. If you want it to be carved, you make it and you carve it. If you want it to have texture, you put the textures on when you put the textures on. Okay? All right. So I'm going to take your pencil. I like to use a mechanical pencil and take the lead off. And I'm going to trace this. I'm just going to trace it on the outside. Kind of like when we transferred our images to our plates. If you did that, do the outside. So what are we going to make this? And then I'm going to, any information I want on there, I'm going to trace out right now. Is this going to be a vase, a teapot? What? What's it going to be?
Well, I thought it was gonna be a penguin.
A penguin bank? You want me to make a bank? Okay. Okay, how many of those do I need?
Two.
Two, why?
It's a bank. You're making a.
Because the building technique says front and a back, right? So we need to have a front and a back that are the same. Okay? Did someone say something?
How would you get the sides then? Or
Oh.
would you just like smush it together?
I found out a way. I'm going to show you. So I'm going to cut this straight up and down. And I think I'm going to make this so the front looks like a penguin and the back just has some texture on it. Best punch ever. All the elements are here. So excited.
Does that mean we can finally fire stuff?
That means when the electrician comes in and puts them in. So no, that's actually not that cool. Okay, so I'm going to take this, and this might be a little bit small for this project. Maybe you could go a little bit bigger. It depends, right? I can make 3 or 4 of these. So now I'm going to add some texture because I want one of these, the backside bit, to have some texture. And then this is my front, and I'm going to put it face down, texture to texture. That way when I pick them up, texture will be pointed out and out. Okay, so I'm going to put that down there. And I use my first cutout to cut out my second piece. That way they're the same. Does that make sense? Because if you use your paper, you might get some warping and some other things. So I'm just going to use this to cut this out. And since I was just talking about making multiples of these, whichever project you pick to be your first one, so we have the 7 days before Thanksgiving and the 7 days after. Whichever you pick to be your first one, if you're planning on giving any of these away for some sort of a holiday gift, has to be your first project. Your second ones will not be fired and done before a holiday break. Okay? Did that click in our heads?
Yeah.
Because we're gonna make bowls, bottles, and vases. Sometimes people are like, hey, I wanna make bowls for my grandma, right? And so you're gonna make a bowl set for your grandma. Great. If you make it as your second one, it is not going to be there for you to give to her for Christmas or whatever holiday you're celebrating. Cool, cool.
National title.
Okay, there's my texture. And then I flip it around. So I have texture and I have the front. You see how that lines up? So that'll be good. And now we're going to make our sides. So, to make our sides, we're going to grab these measuring sticks. Now, this is 1 measuring stick thickness. This is 2. Okay, so I wouldn't go much bigger than 2. You could go 3, but that's what it comes out as. So you have the thickness of your clay, the walls, and then the thickness of the back. Okay. And all I'm going to do here, they can have texture or no texture. You choose what this looks like. And I'm going to come in here and just cut these out. Like that, straight down. So that's going to be a wall. Okay. Set that aside. I'm going to cut a little bit more. I don't think I need more, but just in case. Just lining that on the edge there. Cut that straight down. And now I have 2 sets of walls. The thing about walls is the height from here to here is the most important thing. The thickness doesn't matter. So you could have something that goes thin and thick, that's fine. But the height has to be the same because when we build it, we're going to put our back down, put our walls in there, and put our top or our front on top there. We're actually going to build it this way. Okay? All right, now all this extra clay is brand new. What do I do with it?
Wedge it up.
And put it back in the bag.
Give a piece to me.
Okay, that's perfectly good clay. I'll use that later, whether, no, I don't think we'll get there today. Okay, so front and back, you can do this on a board or you can do this here, whatever works for you. If you put it on a board, there's less like flipping it and moving it, so you would grab a board and put this down. So we're gonna do this. Now, every angle, I have to kind of think it through. This one right here, because it's so steep, I'm probably gonna have to put 2 pieces of clay there. Some of these, I can wrap the whole thing around. Okay, so let's start that. So I'm gonna take my clay here, I'm gonna cut this a little bit. And on Monday, we'll do one that has angles, because like a star or something like that, because that's a totally different build. So I'm gonna come here and just kind of measure this out and bring it all the way over. Okay, cut that out there. And I'm just gonna kind of watch this and where it goes. Does someone see a serrated rib on their table?
There was one right there like 10 seconds ago.
Where was it? Where'd it go?
It's by the clay.
Did I cover it up? Oh, you guys are eagle eyes. Okay, I'm gonna take this and now I'm gonna flip it over. So I get it generally where it's gonna go. And I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna score it. I'm gonna score this. I'm just gonna score all the way around here. We're making a bank, right?
Yes, sir. Hang a bank.
Is this gonna be a bank that you put the slot in and break when you're done? Or it's gonna have the hole that you can access? We're gonna break this sucker. Okay.
We're gonna break this.
Nice. That's my favorite kind of thing.
Everybody bring money so we can fill it up.
Add a little bit of slip.
Great idea.
Now, I really, really, really want you to grab this concept. So if that is my front or my back, it doesn't matter which side you start with. This clay is going to build on top of it, like this, okay? If you come in here, that's my side, and I build it, where are we at? Right there. So this is my wall. If I build that on the side, when I go to put my top on, there will be nothing to support it. So we put our wall down, our front or our back. All right, we put our front or our back down. We build our wall, that's our wall there. And then when we come in here, we can put that on top. Okay, you see how that works? We don't build it like this. If you do, you're gonna cause yourself some problems for this particular technique. Okay, I'm gonna set this on there. Kind of line that up. And you're gonna watch any of your contours and try to kind of push them in here. Now, we have to, it's scored and slipped. So we now want to come in and stitch it. We practiced stitching before, right?
No.
Okay. We're gonna stitch it, and then we're going to add a coil on the inside. So stitching, if I come in here, and I score and slip that, right? So it's scored and slipped, pretend it is. We're gonna stitch it by running our needle tool up through the clay.
Oh no, yeah, we did.
So I thought we did. So you're literally stitching the clay together, and then you'll come in and clean that up. Because that takes two pieces of clay that are like this, and it kind of pulls them together like this. Okay? So we'll do that. And I always start from the bottom to the main piece, to the wall. If you don't want to use your fingers to smooth it out, a wood knife is a good tool. If we had not that tool. This with a little paddle on the end, a little spoon, and you can come in here and compress that. Always hold the inside just a little bit. Couple of tips for you. Less water, less slip is better. You don't want this to be really slippery. When you stitch it and compress it, that will give it some strength. If it's not perfect or how you want it, wait till it gets leather hard and then you can come in and clean it up. Remember how we cleaned up some of our mugs and some of our plates, took some of the roughness off of them? If you don't remember that, we'll show that to you next week. Okay, now we're gonna put a coil on the inside. And I know we sort of practiced this a long, long time ago. You're just gonna take a nice long coil and you're going to press that in there. Compress that. If you're making a vase or something that's open, you're gonna need to make sure that this looks good. If you're making a bank like this, that just depends on how much you care. As long as you compress it, it doesn't have to look perfect, unless you're one of those people that are like, well, when I break it, I expect it to look really nice inside, then you go right ahead. Sometimes with something that I close off like this, hand building, I will write a little message on the inside, so when it breaks, I heart you, right?
Yeah.
That's the message of the day.
That's cute.
Yeah. So whoever breaks this and gets all the $11 out of it. Okay, so do you see how that's starting to be built? Now we're gonna finish that off with more of our wall, and as long as the wall is the same height, that's all that matters. Now, once you start building the walls, you should get them all up, all cut and all up in one go. I don't recommend making these and then letting them sit for a long time. They will start to shrink. This will shrink differently than the other piece, and it might warp. So just be careful with that. All right, on this one, I'm gonna come in here and cut this at an angle. And what that looks like, see how that's cut at an angle, that is not. And that way, when I bring this clay over here, I can butt them up together. I'm going to just measure this out, get that rolling around. This has a lot of little bends and turns. It's not that big of a deal. I'm gonna cut that short there. And we'll put another piece on. Anywhere that clay is going to touch, it's got to be scored and slipped. So up that wall, down the sides here. A little bit of slip. Do you have any what if, could I questions yet?
What if you like put something inside of it?
Like what?
Like, I don't know, like a rat or something?
You put it in there.
Are you just getting in the Halloween spirit, or is this like a new dark turn in life?
Like a spider, put like a spider in it.
Yeah.
A bunch of spiders, and then like throw it at somebody.
Why?
Yeah,
Spider?
spider.
That is terrible.
Spiders are people too.
That's all spider life
I
smell.
feel like a spider house? Ew.
What?
You know what? Sure. No rats, but spiders? Sure.
In this class.
They'll just burn up.
I feel like I've got
It won't, there'll be ash in there. It won't be that big of a deal. But you'll know. You'll be like, that's so cool.
What are you gonna
You know, maybe it's one of those things that you put like the potion of a spell in there, and then when somebody breaks it, it creates the spell. Since we're talking Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
And no, yes? No. I'm gonna say no. You know, being a stand-up comedian sucks sometimes. Because the audience sucks. I mean, I'm talking about my friend, Chris Rock. Don't you know Chris Rock? He's a comedian. He's also my neighbor. They're not the same person, but my neighbor is Chris Rock. Okay, we're gonna work this over. Yep, we got plenty of time. You ever seen the show Everybody Loves Chris? There's a show called Everybody Loves Chris. Oh, no, it's Everybody Hates Chris. It's Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh.
Is Raymond your other neighbor?
No, but I have an old friend named Raymond. And he's a Hawaiian kid, and he's awesome. And we got into trouble in high school together.
Doing what?
Doing
Tell
what?
us a story?
Well, he got in trouble. I just got in trouble for it.
What is it?
That's a new group.
You should tell the story.
There's no story.
Oh, that's
Well, like, tell us like a little bit.
You should tell a story.
I agree.
We were working on a. No, I'm recording. I can't tell a story. Yeah.
Storytelling,
No. Okay, we're getting this lined up.
The only place to go to the classroom.
Your parents could watch it.
Oh.
And I know Corey likes to watch my stuff. He has nothing else to do.
He's surprised he's actually in the classroom, just watching all the videos.
It's like, what is Jones doing today? I'm gonna get him fired. Did I ever tell you that your mom was my math teacher in high school?
She told me.
No, not high school, sorry, college. Yeah. She's not, yeah, she was a adjunct professor at UVU for a while, or still is, I don't know.
No, she's not. That's when I was like, really like.
I think she brought you to class once.
Probably.
No, I don't know, honestly, but she was a great teacher. Math.
Yeah, I don't understand math. She
Imagine
just
if he was
understood
in your class before you were even teaching ceramics.
I did imagine that. Okay, so we have this put together. I'm not gonna go ahead and put the coils in because we want to move forward, but we have that. So before I score and slip this, I'm just gonna set it up here and then push all my sides in so that they kind of match up. But do you see what I was talking about? If I put the walls on the outside, this would have nothing to sit on, right? So we build them here and there. So, sorry, it's all one thing. We build them there so that this can sit on top and hold itself. Just makes life easier. If you don't like life to be easy, you go ahead and do it the other way.
I think I will.
I bet you will, that's the problem. You'd be like, I swear Mr. Jones said build the walls on the outside. I'll be like, I did actually.
Or just to watch me struggle.
It's my favorite thing.
Set up a video.
It's my favorite thing to watch you. Okay, now we're going to score and slip this. Now, what I just did in 40 minutes, 35 minutes, is gonna take you a little bit of time. You might struggle through it, you might break one, might not go exactly as you planned. But this is not a 7-day project. This is maybe for you a 2.5 day project. Now, if you come in and we'll do some of this on Monday, maybe we'll put a beak on it because it is a bird, right? And maybe we add some stuff or carve some stuff or do some painting. So now it's like a 3-day project, maybe a 3.5 day project, depending on what you've done to it. So for you as beginners, you're gonna make 2 or 3 of this size, this non-complicated. If you think about how a penguin's painted, right? Black and white. It's not gonna be all that complex. So just kind of keep that in mind. One of the things I don't want you to do is burn through this project thinking I have it done, and then you sit around for 4 days. Because that's not what this project is. This project is about spending our time wisely. So push that on there. Going to stitch it. And if there's things I need to clean up later, when do I do that?
After it's bone dry.
No, when it's leather hard.
Leather hard.
I knew you knew what you meant.
Yeah.
If you do it when it's bone dry, it's hard to manipulate, but you can use a wood knife or a felting knife to clean this up. The one thing I didn't take into account, and we're gonna lift this up in just a second, I'll show you, is it's not gonna sit flat. He's got a cute little penguin butt, it's kind of bubbly. It's a technical term in Antarctica. You think I'm kidding? Have you ever been to Antarctica? Okay.
Have you?
Well, no, but. Has anyone ever watched the show Atypical?
Yes.
That's a really good show.
It's a great show.
He talks about penguins all the time and his want and desire to go to Antarctica. Yeah, I really like that show.
He goes with his dad in the end.
I haven't seen the last season.
Oh. Oops.
Okay, gonna clean that up. On Monday, come with some what ifs. Maybe start to design your project. When you come to class on the first day of this project, you have to have ideas ready. Please don't come to class and go, I'm gonna sketch out my ideas today. Okay, you'll see my extremely disappointed face. And I might even cry. No, I won't cry because that's incentive for Lindsay to do it. She'll be like, I wanna see him cry. So,
Yeah, that's exactly.
here's the piece, right? There's some things I need to clean up. This is what I'm talking about. It's not too bad, but it's kind of rocking back and forth.
That's great.
Just, you can just throw it down if you want, or I can score and slip a little piece over here, blend that in. That'll help too. Okay. Thoughts, comments, questions, concerns? If you did not turn in your cut cylinder last night, you have till tonight to do it. I'm grading them tomorrow morning.
How do you turn them in?
Google Classroom with a photo.
Just the cut
The
cylinder.
cut cylinder.
Oh. How do we turn in the mugs?
With a grading sheet in that room.
Thanks.
If you have not turned in your mugs, get to that today.